Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to be talking about a number of subjects, and what we're going to talk about on the agenda. Hey, everybody. Hey, Jane or Joan. Is we're going to talk about a few subjects related to the vagus nerve and a few subjects related to generally like good ways to keep your health up. So on the topic today is going to be the hour of power. Then we're going to talk about our Vagus Cure website and some new potential revamps we're making there. We're going to welcome some of the new people in the Facebook group, and then we're going to talk a little bit about a really interesting project I'm working on right now, which is the topic of investing in the field of vagus nerve stimulation. So there are going to be some opportunities coming up for people who want to be kind of involved on that the cutting edge of actually like being there's a way for patients to actually invest in the forward research of the vagus nerve. And I really believe in this topic a lot. So we're going to dive into that. That's really exciting. And then we're going to finalize it with systems over goals, which is a really important topic that we teach all of our clients from day number one. And we have a software package that we install for them, and we co-manage it with them, that gets them thinking in terms of systems rather than disempowering goals. So really cool stuff. And then we'll take some Q&A afterwards. So, all right. So first topic is the hour of power. So many of you know that we recently released, just as a few weeks ago, a really incredible guide that is a parasympathetic. So if you know anything about the vagus nerve, you know that in the autonomic system, that parasympathetic activity is the top priority for anybody who's trying to find healing from a vagus nerve context. If you can't engage your parasympathetic system, then your body is going to maintain a sympathetic dominant state, or the third state, which is that background visceral, chaotic, neurological state, which is not fun either. So if you want to feel good in your life, getting parasympathetic activation is like super, super important. Very, 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 very good. So as far as what we're doing to address that specifically, one of the ways that we've always done it is really through stimulation technology directly to the vagus nerve. However, your auditory canal also has a role to play with your vagus nerve. So what we did is we created a free online guide. It's a multi-page document that teaches you exactly how to incorporate on a day-to-day basis a really clever, really ingenious audio form of vagus nerve stimulation that really does put you into this really beautiful, grateful, joyful, happy, empowered, healthful state that's robust and lasts for the whole day. And you just have to do it once a day, and the more you do it, the better you're going to feel. It's really incredible. And I know some people watching on the live will be able to attest to that. It's something that I do personally. Now, to give you a sense of the specific piece of hardware that is required for it, and to just explain it, it's these pair of 32 gigabyte onboard memory headphones, which you will purchase on Amazon, and then you will plug it into your computer, download the MP3 that's linked in the document, link in the description of the YouTube video, and you'll just drag it onto the headphones, and then you'll never have to plug it into your computer again. You'll just press play, basically, and then put it on your head like this, like so. It's it's air playing, so it doesn't actually go, let's see, it doesn't actually go into your ear, as you can see, but it plays sound around your ear, and it's super crystal clear, and it's really fun to listen to. And so, you'll see me outside barefoot walking in the grass every morning, literally every day. Even sometimes between calls, if I just want to kind of take a moment to just kind of reground and recenter and then keep my energy up, and because we're doing some awesome stuff here, which you'll hear more about in a second. But I do this every morning, and it's freaking awesome. So it's called the Hour of Power, and it's 25 minutes of audio with moments where you can pause it and continue to walking. The best way to do it, I would say, is just to listen to it. That's the best thing to do. Right? So it's 25 minutes of audio with opportunities where I'll prompt you to pause it and continue to walk in that state of gratitude, or to do an exercise. So you might do Qigong in that moment, or you might lift some weights, or you might do some jumping jacks or push-ups or whatever. So the Hour of Power really does give you opportunities to pause the audio and then to continue doing whatever I've prompted you to do at different specified times throughout the video. So that's why you're like, this isn't an hour-long video. Well, the hour is for you. But you could really do 15 minutes of fulfillment, right? If you did 15 minutes of it, you're going to be, I mean, honestly, raise your hand or just at home or whatever, type 1 in the chat. If just listening to the first like 1 minute, 2 minutes of this audio can immediately put you in a really good state, right? That's for me. It's like as soon as I hear that music playing, as soon as I hear that really incredible voice, that robust, passionate, sexy, sterling voice saying, okay, are you ready? Then it immediately just puts me in that state again. And the more you do that, the more you strengthen that neural pathway in your brain. So it's a really incredible program. And again, I would just really highly recommend people go and do the Hour of Power. If you're looking for healing in your life, then, there's really not much else that's better from a I guess it's a device in a sense, but it's non-direct neural stimulation. It's just awesome. I mean, there's only so much I can talk about, but you just have to try it yourself. So Joan, she's like raising her hand. Heck yes, on just the first minute. Just hearing that voice, that bubbly, happy voice is going to put you into a good state already. And if that's all you can do, if just to hear it, it's going to put you into it. Yes. We also have another comment. I used Hour of Power yesterday and had an awesome day. That's what it does. It's designed to put you into this really beautiful state, and then that flows with you for the rest of the day. Unlike a lot of other pieces of tech where, you're stimulating your ear, it only seems to last for as long as it's on in some cases. With the audio program, because it utilizes cholinergic cortical pathways, auditory stimulation, and bone conduction to some degree, the more you stack these different things together, the more you get a more lasting effect for the whole day. It's just awesome, right? It's just really awesome. So I'm really stoked about that. Link in the description if you want that. And it's free. It's easy to get. I mean, you still have to buy the headphones, but they're basically cost next to nothing. Okay. And then these things will probably last you for years. So the one-time investment you're making for the headphones is going to give you a lifetime of pretty much going to set you on the right track. It's life-changing stuff. I wouldn't have it any other way. We have a question. Can you listen more than once a day? Absolutely. I listen to the Hour of Power maybe about 2 to 3 times a day, more or less, right? So on average, I'd say it's about 2 hours per day. Oh, no, it's not 2 hours per day, but 2 times per day. I'll be on a call. I'll blah, 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 blah. The beautiful thing with this is it's 0 antennas. It doesn't connect to your phone. It has no anything in it that is a transmitter or receiver. That's why this specific one is what the specific device that I have linked in there that's chosen is because you load the MP3 on and it's got an onboard MP3 player with the speakers embedded into the headphones. So I intentionally want you to leave your phone at home, get away from technology, get out in the sun, get out in the grass, and really just get your mind really focused on what is good about your life. It's a place for you to create a very compelling future. It's very awesome. Also, we got another comment. I do. That's awesome. It's very, very good. We have another comment saying that they do listen to it more than once a day. So that's fantastic. Okay, cool. So moving on, we have one more question. Would it help also in acute situations of emotional overload? I totally believe it would be. I 100% can speak to that personally. Being in a beautiful, fruitful relationship with my partner. There's some, everybody has little disagreements. One was we're buying a washer dryer. And she's like, well, why don't you just move it? I'm like, these are heavy items. They weigh 100 pounds each. I'll go and pay somebody with a truck who's a professional mover, and they'll move it from one location to the other. And she's like, we can do it. And I'm like, I don't really want to do it. And so there's a little bit of a disagreement on that, right? And tensions were flared. And I was like, I'm literally offering to get strong, big dudes who do this professionally, who, I'm not trying to get hurt. I'm not trying to have something fall on my feet. I'm not a professional mover. Okay. Could I do it? Yeah, but I don't have a truck. We have to get a truck, right? So anyway, I just said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go outside, listen to my Hour of Power, walk, breathe, gratitude, visualization, and it was all good. was like felt completely at peace with the situation, and we ended up getting the washer dryer, no problem. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it in emotional overload situations, but also use it prior to that. If you use it in the morning, guess what? Those kinds of emotional overload situations don't tend to happen. So you can preempt that life is full of stressful potential moments, but it's how you arrive at those moments that really makes the biggest difference. So, yeah, I would say just use it. Just make it a thing. Make it a system in your life, right? Okay, cool. All right, so moving on, the next topic is going to be VegasCure.com. So a lot of people who are new to this group want to know kind of maybe how to jump into something that is vagus nerve stimulation related, right? We hit 20,000 people in the Facebook group as of yesterday, I believe. So woohoo, yeah, let's do it. Remember last week I said type 20K in the comments because we're going to hit that number in no time, and we did. So that's awesome. So I'm going to put the link here in the chat. So VegasCure.com. That's the website we have for people who are brand new to this and who are looking for some like initial written down video guidance with links and everything to identifying a good but decent stimulator for the ear of the vagus nerve. The course you'll see is the most science-backed form of vagus nerve stimulation that uses a electrical type stimulator on the ear with an ear clip system. And so what we're thinking about in the near future is doing kind of a revamp of that course, potentially, just to make it more clear and to potentially integrate it into a software system so that people have kind of... So how I look at Vagus Cure potentially is if you've been here for a little bit, you know that I distinguish between phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 of work with the vagus nerve. Phase 1 is body-specific stimulation of the body, the viscera of the body of the vagus nerve down there. Anything from the neck down we cover. So that's neck strengthening, vagus nerve stimulation, and gut health. Those are the 3 core tenets of a phase 1 system, phase 1 program. Phase 2 is more mind-oriented, and that's when you should be doing stuff like working with emotional memory, fear extinguishing, potentially trauma work, that kind of stuff. That should be a phase 2 concept, but we can take it to such a much further and more empowering degree than just you focusing on, I just got trauma, blah, blah, blah. We build something more incredible in that space that's left over from really resolving potential fear-based memories, okay? So we create that space through phase 1, and then we fill that space in phase 2 with something that's like beautiful. And so the power of power stuff is part of that. So anyway, I'm considering calling Vagus Cure phase 0.5, actually. So I'm going to type that in the chat. So let me see if I'm typing this right. Phase 0.5 is Vagus Cure. So for someone who may not be ready to jump into a coaching relationship with us potentially, and that's totally fair. We don't have room for everybody in this Facebook group, that's for sure. But I would say for people who are like just really exploring this and really, because the reason I do that is because the health and wellness space is rife with just total BS in a lot of cases. And there's a lot of just like, how do I know this works? Are you just trying to take my money? Blah, 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 blah. How do I know I'm going to get results? And so I want to make sure that people have some degree of experience with it. And then that prepares them for what would something like a phase 1 program actually look like. Phase 1 is where, you work with our team and, with me specifically to do vagus nerve stimulation on a much more powerful, more effective way. But I'd say phase 0.1 is about a 2-month program, so to speak. So phase 0.5 Vagus Cure is about a 2-month program. If you're already in phase 1, you're way past that. You don't even need to consider going to Vagus Cure, right? So many people watching are clients of mine right now. But phase 0.5 is Vagus Cure. And I would say phase 0 is just being in this Facebook group, right? Just being in the Facebook group, you're in the ground floor, phase 0, and you're just now trying to incorporate some lightweight things like breathing or humming or gargling or just learning more. Honestly, what I've found is a kind of a cure-all for a lot of health issues can really come down to just learning the anatomy of the vagus nerve, how it works, what influences, what kind of medications you might be taking that are interacting with your vagus nerve. And we've covered those videos multiple times. So if you're on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, and you'll see that we've talked about, just in the last few weeks, autoimmune conditions and how they focus and how they pretty much develop mostly in women, unfortunately. In another video, we talked about the chemicals that will literally influence your vagus nerve. We've talked about polyvagal theory. We've talked about trauma treatments. We've talked about ultrasound stimulation. We've talked about basically tons of subjects. So if you're looking for a really good library where we really go in depth on these subjects, make sure you join our YouTube audience. You subscribe to us there, and you'll see we have videos going back, and back. I'm just going to really quickly share for those in the Facebook community the link to our channel, so you do have that as well. So some people, you have that on some record of that. So that's our YouTube channel right there. I think that should work. That should be a valid link. Yeah, that's it. So nothing special too much in terms of the URL, but someday I'll ask for an official Sterling Cooley or something like that. But yeah, go there, like and subscribe to the channel. You'll get updates on all the videos, and all the videos on YouTube are gonna cut out the hey, hello, welcome, we're doing a live video. It's just right and straight to the point. So anyway, Vagus Cure is a 0.5 type of course. So if you're considering going from phase 0, which means you're doing nothing, you just joined this Facebook group, and you're looking for something to try, but you're not really willing to jump into a phase 1 program or even have that conversation with me, then I would really have you explore 0.5. Vagus Cure is phase 0.5 of the whole process. So cool. And then, yeah, we're evaluating some potential revamps of it, and those will become, available. I generally want to keep Vagus Cure as a more or less free space. It depends on the level of support needed, I think. But I don't see any reason we're probably going to charge for it or anything like that anytime soon. There's a stimulator that you'll have to buy on your own to be able to do that. It's an electrical stimulation of the ear called auricular vagus nerve stimulation. And so, yeah, it's a very popular course. It's we've got, I think, about close to 3,000 people registered on that by now. We launched it in 2019 as a paid course. I think I charged about maybe $50 or something like that. But let's see. I think during the pandemic in 2020, I recognized that, people need actually like some form of vagus nerve stimulation to keep their immune system healthy. Like I saw what the mass pandemic would sort of be doing to the global vagus nerve system. So I said, all right, Vagus Cure is free from now on. Go there, register, get yourself a stimulator. Don't use it if you don't need to, but you have it just in case. In case the bug comes to your home, it's probably good to have something like that on hand. It'd be like, having a first aid kit in your house is probably a good idea. Having a fire extinguisher in your house, probably a good idea. I don't know. Having a vagus nerve stimulator on hand that you already have set up and ready to use in case you fall ill and you're having an inflammatory attack because your vagus nerve is overreacting and you're having a cytokine storm and an autoimmune attack, which is actually what. So if you look at what actually kills people when you get something like sepsis, so nod your head if you're like, okay, I know sepsis infections, those can be very serious. The thing that actually is deadly about a sepsis infection, maybe this is the first time you've heard this, is actually your body's overreaction to the sepsis virus, essentially. And it's your body releasing cytokines and just damaging every cell in sight and causing organ failure. Did you know that? So if you had a sepsis infection from an open wound or something like that, it's not the sepsis that kills you. It's your body's overreaction to sepsis. And guess how this whole field got started? This whole vagus nerve stimulation field got started. A guy by the name of Dr. Kevin Tracy over in New York City or over in New York State did a study that's, he had this hypothesis. His story is really incredible. I would highly encourage you to look at it. Maybe I'll post an interview that he did recently. Let's see, Amy Prohl. Where is it? It would be, sorry, one second. This is important. I do want to get this link out here. But it's an interview that Dr. Kevin Tracy did about, yeah, here it is. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the links too. So it's Dr. Kevin Tracy was interviewed by Amy Prohl, and he talks about his actual introduction to understanding the immune response. He had a young girl in his lab. He was a doctor. He's a doctor. He's a neurologist. And when he was a younger guy, like in clinic or whatever, he had a young girl who had looked like she was completely recovering from an infection, but then one night she just died suddenly. And upon closer, he was just like racking his brain. This was like so gut wrenching to have, a young 7-year-old girl who just died suddenly, even though everything looked normal. All of her labs were normal. All of her vitals were normal, but her body just failed suddenly. And he would come to recognize and realize that it was an infection, and it was actually her vagus nerve had failed, and your body too, but her body in particular, when the vagus nerve was no longer active, kind of allowed the immune system to go into a cytokine storm, and the cytokines started attacking TNF alpha interleukins, every organ in her body, and her brain and her heart failed suddenly. So he said, I'm going to put a electrical stimulator implant into a clinical trial on chimpanzees. And then they're going to inject the sepsis bug, into all of them. And the chimpanzees who had no vagus nerve stimulators all died. Sepsis at that level, there's a certain dosage where it's a guaranteed death. It's guaranteed to be fatal at a certain dosage of sepsis, okay? Which is crazy. So they know that they put this dosage, this fatal dose of sepsis, into these chimpanzees. I believe it was 10 in each group. So it was 20 total. 10 of them had no stimulator. The other 10 had a vagus nerve implant actually in their neck. They just used a pacemaker from in the 80s. I think it was actually in the 2000s, but it was the same pacemaker invented in the 80s to keep your heart beating when you're having a heart attack. So the pacemaker, and then they just stimulated the vagus nerve specifically in the neck constantly during this sepsis attack. Guess who survived? The monkeys with the vagus nerve implant, all 10 of them survived. And they had nearly no symptoms other than the sniffles, and the other died. So that was a big, holy cow. Okay, so there's clearly the vagus nerve is really important when it comes to this immune response, either the over response or under response to an infection. The chimpanzees survived unharmed, essentially, from this. I mean, just take a moment to let that digest, and put a 10 in the chat if you're like, holy cow, if you didn't know that, or if you're just like blown away, or if you knew that and you're like, it's a nice refresher to hear. Okay, now I kind of get why this could be potentially life-saving, right? So 10 in the chat if this makes sense. If you're like, okay, this guy's actually onto something. So I posted his interview. You can go hear his full story. I'll put that in the link in the description in the YouTube video as well. That's fantastic. But yeah, so nobody has to get an implant to get, okay, I see a holy shit in the chat. Yeah, that's real. And you can go hear the full story from Dr. Kevin Tracy. It's fantastic. And so what we realized is that you could get some similar type effects because the vagus nerve also has a branch that branches off. It's not your main branch in your neck, your cervical vagus nerve, but it goes to your ear in your concha. And so with a specialized piece of ear clips, you can clip onto the ear, and you can actually send light electrical stimulation where you don't even have to feel it. It doesn't have to be painful. You don't want to feel electricity in your ear because then you stimulate your sympathetic system. So as Vagus Cure exists right now, it's a fully realized mini course. It's a free course. It's phase 0.5. That's really going to help you kind of get the kind of help you need. And it really utilizes those same concepts. So when the virus happened in 2020, I just said, you know what? This is like if I could be someone who tells someone, hey, you need Band-Aids, you need gauze, you need antibiotics, you need a fire extinguisher in your home, you need a vagus nerve stimulator in your home. Simple. Hopefully my thinking on this makes sense. I think it does. And I do see a comment in relationship to Vagus Cure. So someone who is actually now in phase 1 with us already, but she had checked out Vagus Cure, was very helpful and informative for learning and prepared me for when I went into phase 1. You actually taught me how to use my ear stimulation device, whereas my doc had me using it in TENS mode. Yeah. So another reason we did it was harm reduction, because there are a lot of people who are saying, oh, go use a TENS unit. It's great, whatever. And the fact is, it's not great if you're using it the wrong way. There is a wrong and a right way to use stimulation on the ear. That's just a fact. And the studies show it. We have countless studies proving that so. And are the top doctors in the world who are autonomic specialists using vagus nerve stimulation of the ear with electricity to try and treat potentially the global pandemic? Yes, there are. So it's happening right now. So yeah, awesome. But yeah, I see 10, 10, 10. So yeah, it's interesting information. I think it's very kind of mind-blowing. So that's really where this all starts, right? So if you're phase 0 and you're just totally brand new to this, just be here and listen. You're going to learn something. There's tons of resources. We do nothing but share free stuff here. Like the barrier to entry here is 0. It's maybe negative. Like honestly, shit. At some point I'll give you $10 if you join. Like, we're doing so well, I could probably start paying people $10, make it a negative $10 price for you to actually start doing this. That's how much I believe in this. And so it pays off. But yeah, so 0.5 phase is veguscure.com. It's a free resource. You can go do it. You don't have to be part of this group. You can share it with people. Nobody has to have a Facebook account to get on Vegas Cure. It's free to register. You log in, and we may be making some modifications to it, upgrading a little. It's a little bit outdated as far as how it looks. I think it could use maybe a refresher. But it's a fully fledged course, so it's cool. We even talk about trauma in there too. We talk about mindset. We talk about vagus nerve stimulation, a little bit about diet, a little bit about exercise. So it's really a fully comprehensive and preparatory course for people who want to experience kind of everything that's in my head and everything that I know, but in I'm not asking for any money from you from that. So I think it's pretty fair. So cool. But all links will be in the description if you want to pursue any of those routes. Okay. So next thing is, let's see. Just to quickly welcome people, I just want to welcome the new batch. We just had I think close to 300 people that I approved in the Facebook group just yesterday. And we had 300 people joining that I approved just last week. So holy cow. This is insane. I never planned on having this many people in this Facebook group. I never envisioned it. I don't have any goals related to any of this. I don't really have goals at all. And we'll touch on that in a few moments here. But I just want to say welcome to everybody. You're in a really good place. You're going to learn a lot. Everybody here takes something really valuable away for their own life. You don't have to be here for the rest of your life, but some people I think will probably be here for, I would imagine, 5 to 10 years potentially. And I hope to make it valuable for you. I hope to be, potentially one trusted person in your journey to really good health. That's my commitment to you. So welcome, everybody. Let's type welcome in the chat to the 20,000th member. I don't know who that would be exactly. We had 300 people join all at once, essentially, or I approved 300 people yesterday. So let's congratulate those 300 people who kicked us over the edge to 20K for whatever that means. 20,000 is just really an arbitrary number, but humans do kind of think in terms of increments of 10K. So it's a monumental thing. And I remember when people, we have one person here in the chat right now watching. She joined when we were 600 people. So we were we've had people who I still stay in touch with, who I've worked with, who joined from when we were 300, 400, 500, 600 people in the Facebook group. And now we blew past 10,000. We're at 20,000. So super cool. Just wanted to mention that as it is, it's a step in the direction. It enables so much to happen in this world. I think we're doing amazing things. And so I really want to thank all the people who've been here forever too. Seriously, thank you. You have been the support structure, the base, the foundation to enable us to rise to that level. Because if you had left, there would be a point where we could have never jumped through 20,000. And just think about that. That clearly does indicate that there's enough value in the Facebook group that 20,000 people have decided to stay. Because you could at any time, you can leave. There's an easy leave group button. It's always every post I make, I risk losing a person, right? So it's I don't want to hear about this vagus nerve. This doesn't mean anything to me. I want to go back to whatever the hell I was doing before I learned about the vagus nerve or whatever. Or maybe you just don't like me or whatever. And I can be bombastic and a little rude sometimes, but it kind of goes with the territory having done this for so long. So, but anyway, I'm super appreciative of everyone. And we have welcome. So from our audience to all of you newcomers who joined in the last week, last month, last year, whatever, I just want to really express my gratitude to you, and welcome to the show. Welcome to the journey, as it is. Okay, so what that enables is the next subject. So the next subject is really interesting. This is an area that in private I've really been spending a lot of time focusing on, which is how do we take our insights, how do we take our audience, how do we reward people on a bigger way, right? And so what I found is with biomedical stuff or biotech, because we really are in the space of biomedical work, essentially. I mean, it's a core part of what our phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 is. Phase 0.5, Vagus Cure, is a biomedical technology thing. It's super accessible. So I've envisioned, like, how could it be that everybody involved could be like a stakeholder? How could we align incentives where my success is also your success? And so there's a new development in the field of biomedicine and science and research and academia that's recently developed that's enabled by cryptocurrency, actually. So kind of melding together some of these really incredible worlds is this world of DeSci, or I'm going to type that in the chat, DeSci. And that's basically like distributed science, essentially, which means that there's no longer a centralized funding agency for funding research of science. And I think that this field, we're at the early stages here too. I mean, we're, essentially clipping on a TENS unit or a microcurrent stimulator to the ear at this point in time. We're using sort of like of already available technology, some proprietary stuff. But could this, what's it going to look like in 5, 10, 20 years from now? I mean, the kind of technology that's enabled by real pioneers could be incredible. And so I'm like, how could someone like, clients that are in phase 1 or phase 0.5 or in the group have sort of voting rights or some access to our deal flow that enables them to be a part of the growth of this, right? Where it's not just like for you to benefit, then you just have to buy into a program and you get, incredible help and support and technology and everything and just a beautiful experience, and you are enriched in that way. But could there be something where you own potentially some proprietary intellectual property that's related to what we generate? Because all the information that I get from running a program, like think about it, each one of you, every call I have with one of you is generating some small point of information or data that could then go on to be utilized in a future development of a new piece of technology or a new program. And I think you should all have some say in that journey. I would rather have, I like being a CEO. I like being a founder of the Vagus Nerve Stimulation and Repair Program, and that's a mantle I deeply enjoy having, right? It does lend me a level of authority and all that kind of stuff, and it's kind of like, it's my calling card, right? I'm a CEO, I'm a founder. But at the end of the day, this is enabled by tons of people. It's not just me. It's a team. It's the clients. It's the researchers, it's the founding people, it's the funders, it's the investors, it's the researchers at the universities, it's the whole system. And DeSci as a concept does enable us now to potentially have some people who are interested in really getting a piece of the pie to be involved. I mean, think about it like this. We have a deal potentially that's coming right now in the pipeline to do basically, so I'll throw out some terms that you may not get it. And if you don't get it, that's fine. It's fine. You'll learn what these things mean as we go. But potentially an in-ear vagus nerve stimulator that simultaneously records your vagal nerve activity from blood flow, that potentially monitors your vagus nerve directly in the ear, and then makes a determination on if it wants to stimulate or not in real time. So you just wear this thing for about 5 to 10 minutes. You'd have a little clip, like a slip-in earpiece that you put into one ear. It would be custom, like you would basically take your phone and make a custom picture. You would record a 3D image of your ear. We would have our specialist, our engineer, make a custom mold, then put the electronics in that, and then ship it to you as a client. And then you would have an all-in-one HRV recording device that measures from your ear with an optical sensor and then stimulates with ultrasound to your ear, to your vagus nerve directly. There would be no pain, no discomfort. It would be all in one. You would just have it on a little charger. It would rapidly charge. 5 minutes would give you an hour of usage if you wanted to. And so just at any time of the day, when you're sitting, when you're eating, when you're walking outside, you would just literally just like put it up to your ear, lock it in, just rotate to lock, and it will sit in your concha, sit in your canal. Zero discomfort, doesn't need to go in there. Biosafety compatible stuff. That's a project we have. And we have a deal flow right now to have literally the father of HRV and the father of ultrasound both involved in a research project where each one of you could potentially own the IP. You could have literally a piece of the intellectual property of that actual device. And that for the rest of your life, you could literally be paid a license fee as a part owner of that intellectual property. So it would mean that some company like maybe Apple or maybe Tesla or maybe GE or Siemens or Philips, some of these big billion-dollar companies, or even a pharmaceutical company who says, you know what, we're sick and tired of getting people hooked on these drugs. We need to start investing in bioelectric medicine. And they're going to invest in these kinds of things. And so you would literally be paid back more than what you invested in the first place based on a license that you own from the research generated from that initial investment. And the kinds of investments that are required for this are on the order of about $250,000. Now, I already have a commitment for that much money already, and I could get that money easily. But how cool would it be if my friends, my clients, my people were the ones who were putting that in? And you then would have voting rights to determine, do you want Pfizer to be a stakeholder in the bigger project? That could lead to more funding of research. That could lead to the version 2 of that. That could lead to whatever. I mean, that kind of funding pipeline enables you to benefit, enables all of us to benefit forever, and you would be paid in perpetuity for the licensing fee of that intellectual property. That's amazing. So that's the DeSci model, and I'm having calls literally every single day with engineers, with legal, with the scientists. I mean, there's a deal flow going on right now to do this, and we could get this started here in the next probably 4 months potentially. So so the details are these are the details essentially. We currently have a draft paper which will be released. It's called a light paper, and it's going to be a short to the point document detailing how this organization would go, how it would work, how there would be full transparency. So any dollar spent or earned would be fully on the blockchain. That's the benefit. It'd be sort of Ethereum backed, where you would literally get to see, this company came in, bought it, you're an owner, you would be guaranteed legally licensing fees in perpetuity based on the deal flow. And we would have, basically lifetime exclusive access to all things generated from that initial $250,000 investment. So anyway, that's all possible. But more details on that soon. But that's just so people know, that's where I've been spending a lot more of my, other free time, and it's really cool. Now, and then I just want to make a point here, not like I have to, but I've been making a big point about this whole idea of, resolving trauma in your life, where I say there's nothing to release. There's no trauma to release. There's only something bigger and better and more compelling to reach out to and grab on. So, think about it for me. When I go out and do my hour of power and I'm think about things in the future, see them as done, see them as already happening, see yourself celebrating, see yourself being grateful for the life that has been created for you. This is what I'm envisioning. I don't have room for looking at, my trauma and my intergenerational trauma and being a victim. I'm looking at how do I potentially change the world? How could we potentially change the game? I mean, we are on the cutting edge, right? And if anybody is going to be possible, if anybody is going to be able to do it, it's going to be me and this audience that we have, because we've grown so much, because each one of you have told a friend, because you've told people about the vagus nerve, because you've gone into doctors' offices and had the strength and the confidence and the knowledge to tell your doctor, about the vagus nerve. And some of them might scratch their head and say, sorry, I learned about that once 20 years ago. But because of what we're doing, we are like seeping into the culture. I mean, we have the potential to change the world. And I don't want it to be the old model where you're just paying into a company to get something. I want you to be part stakeholders. I want there to be incentives. I want the researchers, those poorly paid academic researchers who are in their 20s, who I worked with for years, who got a stipend of $15,000, $30,000 per year. If you're a researcher that could be doing work on the vagus nerve with ultrasound, with HRV, with whatever, the university would pay you, video paused for a second, but don't worry, we have the recording on YouTube. But if you're a researcher, you get paid, if you're an unfunded researcher, you get paid $15,000 per year. Your parents have to be wealthy to support you. You have to struggle. You got to get loans to be able to research this kind of stuff and build this kind of stuff. And they're smart kids. And if you get funded, then you get $30,000. That's all you get. And then they don't have they get no incentives. They have no stakehold. They have no voting tokens or anything like that in their work. It's sad. And so this changes the stakeholder game. So you could be helping to fund smart kids to stay in research, to continue the struggle against the inevitable deterioration of the body in this weirdly toxic environment that we seem to live in this modern materialist capitalist society that we have, which has great things but also has really bad things. And so there's a lot to this. There's a big thing to this. So for this, it's on so many levels. There's so much to be compelling to look at. So I want to invite each one of you is to start thinking about how this could look. Each one of you watching, if you're here, I love you so much. You're awesome. Like, you're a supporter. You're watching. I didn't do a lot to promote this video on Wednesday, so we don't have a huge audience watching, and that's fine. But, replays get hundreds of views. So, but yeah, so that I just want to share that. That is what is developing as far as deal flow. And this would enable someone to put $5 in, $100 in, $1,000 in, whatever is comfortable for them. If they're like, you know what, I believe in this, and I want to be a patient who has, like, think about how perverse it is when you think about a modern drug like a SSRI or even something that helps, right? Maybe it's a biologic, maybe it's something, right? Your taxpayer dollars went into the funding, and then that went to Pfizer and pharmaceutical companies, and they sold that back to you for thousands of dollars per month. And then you're paying all of it. It's all loss on your end. You get the therapy, which is the one good thing of that taxpayer research, but you have no licensing to any of it. So imagine if you were like, if you owned like a little bit of Cialis or a little bit of Viagra, right? As a patient, like many of you watching are not patients. You're not, I know many of you watching are not consumers of Viagra, but think if you had put in $500 at the early days, and you were still getting paid a constant licensing fee from Pfizer from a drug that generated billions of dollars per year. How cool would that be? That is possible right now with the vagus nerve, with ultrasound, with HRV, with the ear, and there's a couple of other IP projects. I'm just mentioning one that is like on the forefront right now. And so more details to come on that later. And of course, I just want to, I guess my legal obligation here is to say I'm not giving investment advice. This is not a money-making opportunity in that context. This is not there's no guarantees of returns, et cetera, whatever, So I'm not at that stage yet even. So we're not taking any money. I'm just saying, start thinking about that. How might that look for you, right? Would you want to be into something like that? It looks like a lot of people are like, that's awesome, cool, I want one, I'm in. Where do we get details? Great comment here. Yes, there's a reason the windshield is bigger and the rear view mirror is smaller. You got to be looking forward here. Can you look backwards? Yeah, but should you focus on that? Should be that the biggest thing? No. You cannot drive a car by looking backwards in a trauma context. You cannot. So anyway, and that really gets you on the deal flow for all things that I generate. So if I ever wanted to commercialize the Hour of Power, you could own IP for this. I don't know what that would look like. Imagine it would just be a product that you buy at a store for $300. Like, we could compete with Apollo Neuro. We could compete with every other company because of the power of this group, this community. We have really incredible opportunities here. So yeah, so people are like already expressing interest. So that's awesome. I'm so excited. So more details on that, but just so you know, that's where I'm spending a lot of time, and it's time well spent. I can guarantee that. So, okay, looking at another subject. Thank you for hearing me out on that. The next subject that I'm going to talk about is systems versus goals. Yesterday, a guy reached out to me, and he's a health coach himself, actually. So I get messages like this often, like, "Hey man, how's it going? Really like your stuff. How's everything in business going, or how's everything in your health going?" Right? It's that typical kind of like obvious intro to the next step is, "Hey, I got a coaching program. I think you would benefit from it." I generally doubt it, but whatever. I'm always open to hearing people out. It's not necessarily how I run my business these days. We don't need to. We don't need to. Could we do better that way? Yeah, but it's just a matter of we're doing great. So anyway, the concept of system over goals is one of the coaches asked me, "Hey, Sterling, so what are your health goals right now? What are your goals that you're working towards?" And I said, "I have no goals." And he's like, "What? You don't have any goals? Man, things must be like really bad for you right now." I'm like, "Things are great." And he's like, "So you have no problems? You have nothing you want to improve in your life?" I'm like, "I didn't say that. I said I don't have any goals. There are great things going on, and there are areas that are improving constantly." And so, it's kind of, in a way, if I were really trying to sell him on this concept or whatever, although, just a disclaimer, I'm not here to really convince you of anything. I'm here to give you information. If it makes sense, if it resonates, maybe I can help deepen your understanding of concepts that you already probably suspect are true. That's really to the extent of anything I think that I'll be able to move you on potentially. So I'm not going to run any like hypnosis or NLP on you to convince you that this stuff is true. That's not my intention here. Might I persuade you to think differently? Yeah, but is it for your benefit? Probably. So systems versus goals is really the state that when you're goal focused, you are looking at something like, I want to weigh 175 pounds, or I want to have a waistline of this, or I want to have this much money, or I want to have this one type of person in my life. These are goal-based ways of thinking. And so what you're doing in a goal context is you're really saying to your brain that my condition for rewarding myself, for feeling good, is based on this one condition for success. And until you get to that one condition of success, all steps leading there are bathed in a state, wrapped up in a container of that I failed. And so that's why you see people doing work on trauma, because it's self-generated trauma, right? If I feel like every day I'm not at my goal, then subtly what you're telling your brain, even though you're not like waking up and saying I'm failed because I haven't reached my goal, but as long as you have not reached that, then there's a subtle signature to your brain, a subconscious understanding that you have really failed in a sense. Maybe you're on your way towards that goal, and that may be reassuring to you, but you may be really far off, and you may be like, God, I am failing on so many levels. Maybe it's because I have trauma and I need to release my trauma. So goal orientation is the kind of thinking that has led us to where we are at right now. So the reason I'm so confident in being able to kind of just wave away this whole okay, tell this whole release your trauma thing about that to someone else. It's just not my jam. It's not something I'm at. And the reason I've been able to do that is because I've adopted I used to be a goal-oriented person, and I definitely felt that, something's holding me back from reaching my goals and all this kind of stuff. Is that a systems perspective really identifies, there are some general directions in life I want to go. I have a vision for my life. I want to have, I want to be married. I want to have a home of my own. I want to have a family. I want to have children. I want to have maybe a girl, maybe a boy, that's a vision for my life. Am I super connected to does that have to happen? No, because there are conditions where that might not happen. Or even if I did have it, my spouse could pass away suddenly, and that might not be an option anymore. So I'm not like goal oriented to that degree where there's even a failure condition to meet. It's a vision. It's a, could be cool. I feel like that'd be a rewarding thing in a sense, but I'm not deeply ultimately connected to that. What I am connected to are the systems, and the systems are for that kind of thing, like making a family, a home, having children, having healthy children, is what that looks like is on a day-to-day basis is, when my partner comes home, I stop what I'm doing right there if I can, if I'm not on a live call, is I'll stop what I'm doing, I'll stand up and I'll go over and I'll give her a big hug and I'll squeeze her tight, I'll kiss her, and I'll say, hey, how's your day? Missed you a ton. Update her, ask her how her day was. Just invest in that relationship. And that's a system that would apply to any situation. That's a good system to develop. That's a good skill set to develop, is the interpersonal love, making sure that there's that passion there, that there's that care, that sense of belonging for that partner. That's how you create a home. And will that have benefits across the board? I mean, do you think that flows into how I deal with clients? Yeah. Does that flow into how I deal with strangers, with my own family by blood? Does that deal with friends? Everything. Yeah, it does. It's a habit of mind. It's a system of being. And I'm just focused on those systems. And I have no goal. I say, hey, we should start looking at some houses. We should start looking at places where we can grow into. And so that's a system of investment, really. That's a system of ownership of property. And that's a system, but I have no goal. And have we identified some places that are within our price range, that are beachfront houses, that are, huge places that we could feasibly get? Yeah, we've done that. But I'm not like this. I'm only going to be happy if we have this one place. It has to be this. That would mean that I'm going to wake up not having that and feeling like I've failed. So how that's important in a context of health is really what flows through in every client relationship that I have from now on, which is when someone signs up for a program on day one, they're loaded with a dashboard that reminds them every day of, here are the 3 primary systems. So if you're in phase 1, for instance, and each one of you watching that's in phase 1 right now, you'll have access to your dashboard. Hopefully you've been reminding yourself that we're not a goal-oriented program. And if you're like, how could you help people if you don't have goals that you give them, or you work with people on goals? And I'm like, well, you can help. Does a weight loss coach, can you frame their success by hitting a goal? Yeah, but once you hit a goal, you got your 6-pack abs, you got muscles, you hit your weight of 165 pounds. But once you hit the goal, then you hit it. Now it's just, well, that was exciting for a day. I got celebrated. But put yourself in the day after hitting that goal. Now what? Now what do you do? Now you feel that emptiness. Now you feel like, now I have to do all that work again and to try and get there again. So do we get success? Absolutely. 100%. For anybody doubting if I'm able to help people, hell yes. And I'll prove it. I'm going to put our link to our testimonials, vegushub.com/testimonials. Okay? So if you want to go factually, fact check me in real time and go hear from real people, interviews with real people who've gone through our phase 1, phase 2 programs, even phase 0.5, go listen to them. Go listen to them in their own words. But it's not because I set a goal with them per se. It's because I said, hey, here are the systems that work. The systems are as follows. So if you're a phase 1 client, and I will be doing this tomorrow with our clients, again, is an update with them, is here are the systems that will make this work for you. The first system is vagus nerve stimulation on a daily basis. If you find some way to stimulate your vagus nerve, might that be through the Vagus Cure program if you're not a client? Might that be through ultrasound? Might that be through breathing? Might that be through humming? Might that be through essential oils? Might that be through the hour of power? Any of those things is a way to fulfill the system of the day. And it doesn't even need to be that you did it to some big degree. The condition for meeting a system is only that you showed up to it. That's it. Like, what is it? What do they say? 90% of success in life is just showing up. That's it, right? I know that if I just give a person a minimum protocol with the ultrasound, they just have to put it up to their neck And if you only did 10, 30 seconds, that you have literally fulfilled scientifically the system of stimulating your vagus nerve. And that could be the only thing you did that day. That could be the only thing that actually works for you in a sense. Because there's a lot of people by necessity come to us because they have tried so many things. They've exhausted all other avenues. And there's some people watching who that's the case. And now we're finding that things are actually working for them, that the stimulator is working for them. But it's a system-based kind of thing. And it's not oriented towards when things start working, then you can stop stimulating your vagus nerve. Might it take another form? Absolutely. Might there be a time where you've done ultrasound stimulation for 3-4 months and you've gotten your vagus nerve working so well that all you really need to do most days is the hour of power? That's totally possible. And you might give yourself a little touch up every day, or every other day, every 3 days, once a week when needed, right? When you just kind of like, yeah, you know what? I really feel like I need to get some vagus nerve stimulation, right? Yeah, we got another great comment. All health leads to the vagus nerve. So yeah, are you going to win if you have a system that is just do something to stimulate your vagus nerve every day? Will you experience and encounter health benefits? 100%. 100%. I don't think you can really at this point doubt that. It'd be like, a second system that we teach is the one on physical movement. So physically engage your body every day. That means that could that be doing the iron neck? Yeah, many of our clients do decide to go and purchase an iron neck home neck strengthening and rehabilitation system. Many of our clients do that. They'll usually go with the white starter version, and that's totally cool. I like that. Is that more beneficial for us overall because it's a really effective piece of equipment? Yeah. But could you use the red ball too? Absolutely. And is there any goal with neck strengthening? No, there's no goal that I state you have to have. I'm not like, okay, Angelica. Angelica is a name of someone who's not a client, and we don't have many people watching who are Angelica. So I'm not calling you out. This is all names have been changed to, whatever, like you see in movies. So Angelica, I'm not saying, Angelica, we need your neck to, after 3 months, be 13% larger in girth. And then, once you hit that, then you can stop using the iron neck. No, it's a system. Do you strengthen the muscles in your neck for beneficial reasons? Yeah. Could I give you those reasons? Absolutely. What would some of those reasons be? Oh, so that your neck is strong, so you don't have neck pain, so you sleep well, so your vagus nerve is not being compressed by a hypermobile neck. Will it protect you in a future potential statistically likely scenario where you may trip and fall and you're going to need a strong neck so you don't actually sever your spinal cord? And can a healthy, strong, robust, rigid, muscular neck protect you from potential injury in the future? Yeah. So given that's a potential future, is it wise to just say, this is just a system? This is just a system we know is good. And can you have wrong systems? Absolutely. You could have a system where you're like, I'm going to release my trauma daily. That's a system that gets you focused, I think, on the wrong type of metrics. There are good systems and then there are bad systems. Is going home and every day eating ice cream part of a system of what you put in your mouth? Yes. So what I encourage people is adopt, generally speaking, healthy systems. Might that mean eating rich, green, natural, organic food? Yeah. Plant-based stuff, good organic grass-fed or meats in some cases, wild-caught salmon, taking the right kind of supplements. Those are all things that are part of a system, and there shouldn't be any goal connected to it. You should just drop the goal thing. And so systems are so much more important for you to start thinking about. So if you're doing the hour of power, one affirmation you might say is, all the systems I need are within me now. All the skills I need are within me now. Adopting a systems-based approach to your life, to your health, to all things is important. And we just talked about potential investments for people to get to literally be stakeholders and owners, financial owners of vagus nerve stimulation technology and intellectual property. That's a system too. It's all about, a system for that is continually connecting with interesting people who are smart, who are go-getters. I had a call with a guy who owns his own investment property and his own investment fund doing the exact same thing in a different vertical. And part of my system is I had no goal with talking to him other than to powwow and talk about how are you doing it? Who are you talking to? Learning more about, asking questions. It's all just systems. Now, could nothing come out of this, but could I still benefit? Absolutely. The systems generate a space to develop skills. So is a system of learning about the ins and outs of having a stakeholder system for people to invest in intellectual property, is that a lateral thing that I could utilize in any number of different domains? If for some reason, whatever, if it just became infeasible to do what I'm talking about, that's possible. I'm open to the possibility. Will I cry a tear if something shifts? No, because I will have developed some really powerful skill sets, some really, really powerful skill sets that are going to serve me for literally the rest of my life, literally till the day I'm dead. And I can pass on to other people and give them tools of building. And so, yeah, a system is connect and communicate on these levels with other really intelligent people who are doing it. And are there benefits that come out of that? Absolutely. And they'll continue to enrich myself, enrich my audience, enrich other people. I gave him some ideas that he hadn't seen or he hadn't thought about. His company is called Valley DAO. I'll share a link actually to his Twitter, and you can kind of get a sense for what these things might look like here in the chat. And so if you have a Twitter, again, another thing I would recommend, a good system, if you really want to be more involved with this and really be on kind of the cutting edge in this kind of context, is just adopt a system of following people who engage you intellectually, who engage you at a higher level of thinking, of health, of, winning, of other people who are systems thinkers, not goal thinkers. Goal thinkers will put you into a box that really can put you into a kind of a miserable state. So if you see someone asking you, hey, what are your goals? Try just telling them, hey, I don't have any goals, actually. I have a really good health coach a mentor who has really helped me see the way that I don't have to have goals in my life. I have systems. And let them ask you. Let them be curious. See what they say, right? What you might find is they get really irritated, potentially. They're like, no, that's not possible. You can't succeed without goals. And I can tell you, you can succeed beyond your wildest dreams in your health, in your relationships, in your business as a systems-based thinker. And it makes things easy. See how calm I am? I'm calm. I'm good. I am great. Just if you guys are wondering how, from all practical purpose of it, just take an accounting of how things are going. Holy cow. Wow. Really good. Like really, really good. I'm really, really happy. But again, I don't have any goals related to it. I don't wake up and say, Sterling, you have to be happy. I could be miserable. I mean, that's a possibility. There could be things that happen where I'm going to maybe, things will go belly up in certain areas of my life. But will I stop brushing my teeth in the morning? Will I stop washing my face? Will I stop shaving? No. Will I stop eating healthy food as in any way, shape, or form? No. And is there a goal with it? No, I don't eat green, like kale or spinach or whatever, because I have a goal. I just know that those are healthy. And how do you optimize systems is you validate and check them, right? So the reason I'm more into the green Mediterranean style of eating, and which is what, every client of mine is encouraged to review, not told to do. I don't tell people to do things. Do I, like, people who are in my program, just raise of hands or agree or yes or totally true. If I often will tell you to review some piece of information or to look at this document or consider incorporating iron neck or consider this way of stimulating your vagus nerve. That's how I do it, right? That's how I'm doing it. I'm not telling you that you have to. There's no demands. And I don't tell you goals. I'm actually move way far away from goals. You may hear me in some cases saying goals, right? In the Hour of Power, I may say, look at your goals, but that is because not everybody's watched this video. Some people are goal-oriented, and could I get them to at least be better at getting in their mindset, their framing, and their perspective to be goal-oriented? Yeah, but that's not what I ultimately think that they'll like, again, a big part of my systems in life is to meet people where they are and not force them to do something that they don't have any understanding of. And so does shifting out of a goal-based orientation, does it take a little bit of work? Yeah, it does. It just kind of like, it's a shift in focus. Is it better? Yeah. Does seeing the world as round versus flat, could that enhance some aspects of your life? Absolutely. It obviously has. Yeah, we have a comment from a current client in phase 1. Never any pressure from you. Yeah, it's always an invitation to review. Here are the steps if you want to take it. And it's always presented from a systems perspective. It's always like, hey, let's talk about the system. Let's make optimizations. If we need to add a system, for instance, with another client here, who actually now has come on to work with us, is she was looking at some of the recommendations or encouragement from working in our program, and I just really quickly whipped up a system. I just said, hey, this is a great kind of starting point to look at a system, and it's a system that I believe is one that will move us towards success and will give us lateral ability. You never want to be locked into one specific thing. That you can't lock yourself into one condition for failure. And so for instance, with this, potential investment, each one of you would be investing and having a stakehold in IP that has lateral ability that could be turned into some kid could launch a company out of it. A company like GE could purchase the rights to it, but there's no goal with it. It's all designed from that system. And so when you think in the system, and I want to encourage you, come back here, really continue to just because you heard this once. The first time I heard this, it was like, wow, this sounds pretty cool. But even then I knew that, like, if I continued to massage it and work with it and really utilize these ways of thinking, that they will really develop into some incredible things. And so everything that I'm sharing with you right now, the Hour of Power, the insomnia cure system that we have for private clients, and what we'll talk about on Friday here, which I'd encourage you to do, just showing up to the group is a system. That's all I ask. If I post something, if it immediately seems relevant to you, just check it out, review it. You don't have to read it. But, I think I asked the other day, we're here, we've succeeded because the things that we post about are systems oriented. I've never posted in the recent year that you have to have this kind of HRV. I've never said that you have to have this kind of neck to have success, right? You can have any shape of neck. Your neck could be curved straight forward or backwards or whatever, but that neither of those positions of your neck prevent you from having a good, healthy neck with good range of motion, right? And that you have a strong neck that will protect you from future things. You should never be discouraged. If you ever feel discouraged from anything I post, then I would just ask, maybe open your mind to, maybe in the context of where I'm posting it from, it comes from maybe a different place that you could see it differently potentially. So anyway, but yeah, never any pressure from you. Great presentation, Sterling. Very helpful, empowering. Sometimes we need reminders to get out of the weeds. Absolutely. These kinds of things keep the channels open for unlimited possibilities. Yeah, this group gives us all really unlimited possibilities to go in many different directions, right? And the directions go based on you. You all have been the deciders ultimately. In a sense, it's a co-creation because it's obviously what I'm interested in teaching and what I think is best. But it's a shared, co-created direction for work. So anyway, but yeah, I wanted to share that. But that would basically, essentially, be my initial introduction for some of you, or a continuation of the subject, something that I will really continue to hammer on. And if you are in a phase 1 or phase 2 context, if you want real help from me, if you want to be on this in a day-to-day basis, and you want this to be built out for you in your life, then I will do a call, because we do have some call spots open next week. Some of you watching are like, you know what? I really like what you're talking about. I want help with this. I would encourage you to schedule a 10-minute call with me. I'm going to pin the scheduler comments as well in the YouTube video for this. But yeah, schedule a quick 10-minute call. Let's see what kind of systems. I'm not going to ask you what your goals are. I'm essentially going to ask you, what's a vision that you want? What's a direction you want to move towards? And then we can look at creating some systems literally on one of our calls together for free. I'm not going to ask you for any money. I want to help. Like, if I could help someone for free and they never had to pay me $1, but they come back to me in a year or 6 months or 2 years and they say, that one call put me on the path to changing incredible things in my life. Why wouldn't I want that? That's a reward for everybody. So if you have a friend or family member, I wouldn't recommend getting on a 10-minute call with me right up front. I would recommend for people, probably get them on the Vegas Cure, get them on phase 0.1 if you can, get them in the Facebook group, of course, get them on the mailing list. There's all kinds of ways we can help people. So yeah, with that, I will kind of wrap up the YouTube video here in a moment, and then I'll go to the Facebook group and take some Q&A if anybody has any questions. So thanks everybody so much for watching. All the links that I mentioned are going to be in the description of this video. My name is Sterling Cooley. This has been a presentation of the Vagus Nerve Stimulation and Repair Company. I'm the CEO and founder of that organization. And like and subscribe to this video if it's helped you out. Share it with people as needed, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. And for people who want to know what the next video might be, we're going to be going live in the Facebook group on Friday. Hey, Laura, good to see you. Have to catch you later here, though, anyways. Hey. But yeah, our live video on Friday will be covering the part 2 of our last Friday video where we worked on memory. Already seeing some incredible results from that. I'll read some of those live on that call, and you can see what that kind of implementation looks like in your life. But yeah, we're sharing some awesome stuff. All right, guys. So thanks everybody on YouTube. I'm going to end the YouTube recording now. That'll be available for replay for everybody in the Facebook group as well. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.